Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Introverts Guide for Intentional Branding with author Goldie Chan. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a director of programs at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit improving access to knowledge and entrepreneurship to advance economic progress for all. Hi, Goldie. We're getting started in just a moment, but as our attendees are going to see in the chat, the Nasdaq Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to help entrepreneurs fuel prosperity, no matter where their journey begins. So be sure to check out those links and resources shared in the chat. Now we're going to launch a few polls to take a step back and take a temperature gauge on how all of you are doing today. We use this information to guide the programs we provide for this global community of entrepreneurs. So the first one, Goldie, you'll see it. How are you feeling about your business right now? Are you optimistic? Are you in survival mode? Are you feeling a little anxiety? Let us know. We help, we use this information to help this global community with the part of entrepreneurship that nobody really covers, which is the wellness part. If there's specific topics or challenges you'd like us to create resources for, please share those in the chat. We'll get right to chasing after them. Now, let us know where you're dialing in from. We'd love to see where everyone's joining us from in our session today. And also, we're going to have a live Q&A for our speaker at the end of this session. So feel free to submit those questions for us in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. We'll do our best to get to them all. All right, well, while you're answering these final polls, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the incredible support of our corporate partners. The work that we do at the center wouldn't be possible without all the generosity and belief of our partners and funders, including NASDAQ, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, KPMG, Walmart, the Asia Innovation Hub, Wilson Sonsini, the Nareep Foundation, and BPM. We're deeply grateful for their partnership and hope you'll join us in sharing that appreciation too. Awesome. Looks like the final poll, what's keeping you up at night, is almost done. Finances looks like it's in the lead, but there's a pretty good mix of sales, marketing, scale, pivot, and team. So, Goldie, that's a big, wide mix, but I think all of them are connected to our topic today. So, Goldie, you just published your book, The Personal Branding for Introverts, and I'm really looking
Yes.
forward to your presentation on the Introvert's Guide today.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so excited to see so many folks. In fact, some people are from the same place. I'm currently located in San Francisco Bay Area where I was born and raised. I currently live in Los Angeles, but I'm not there right now. We are going to have such a fun session today. I am so excited to share this with all of you. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to minimize this first. Then I'm going to share my screen so we can start going through all of this wonderful work. I'm just going to share this directly so hopefully everyone can see this. I see it's right behind me. So I'm just going to point out right now, and we're going to go ahead and go through this together. So this is the Introvert's Guide to Intentional Branding. We are going to work on winning at branding, and I know that branding and marketing is so tough for so many folks out there. And I think especially, and I'm going to do content only for now, I think that especially right now, it can be so overwhelming to do branding and to consider doing personal branding. So I'm just going to go through and we're going to go through all of this delightful stuff. And I'm going to full screen this for myself right now so everyone can kind of see it. I'm going to go backwards in this slide deck. As we're going through this, if you have any questions, Colin is going to be kind enough to go through the chat and he's going to share that with everybody. And we're going to kind of go through those questions at the very end. But first of all, hi everyone. I'm Goldie Chan. It is truly a delight to be here right now. I am as of last week, because my book just came out, I am a and let's just do side by side. I am a best-selling author. I'm a keynote speaker. I am a LinkedIn creator, and I'm a Warm Robots founder. So I run my own agency, which is utterly delightful. And I also am an ex-Forbes senior contributor. So I've been a journalist for many years. And I also am an Archie comics writer. Now, I know that's really fun. That's my fun fact. So if you have any fun facts also about yourself, I'd love to see. Please drop it in the chat. And of course, this link links to my book, which I will also link to at the very end. But thank you, everyone, for supporting and being potentially interested in learning more about personal branding for introverts. So let's get into it. Now, I'm also an introvert. This picture, I think this was at an event where I had to do quite a bit of speaking. And I always think that it surprises people that I am a public speaker, but I'm also an introvert. And I think a lot of that is that there's a misconception that in order to be a great public speaker, you have to be an extrovert. And that simply isn't true. I think that in order to be a great speaker, you need to be a great speaker. So, a lot of what I do, especially when I work with, say, C-level executives or I work with founders on their personal brands, is we talk through what are goals. So, and we also talk about this. What is personal branding? I get this question all the time, which absolutely makes sense. Everyone wants to know, oh gosh, what is personal branding at the end of the day? So, personal branding is how you show up both online and offline. It's number one, it is who you are. Number two, it is what you do. And number three, it's why you matter. So that is our incredibly basic who, what, and why. And I want to pause right now and just say one of the things that I talk about in my new book is the 5 C's of personal branding, which is clarity, and that's the who you are. Then we have consistency, which is what you show, and then competency, what you can do, confidence, how you deliver what you deliver, and then community, who you're with. So I'm going to keep going. So we're going to go over a really quick exercise. This is the 5 golden keywords of personal branding. So really quickly, I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about what are the 5 golden keywords of personal branding. And this is, and hold on one second, we're going to present this into full screen. So hopefully now it's full screen. Now we're going to do what are our 5 golden keywords? Well, let's start with soft keywords and hard keywords. So when we think about our soft keywords versus our hard keywords, soft keywords are what adjectives would you like to be known for? And our hard keywords are what skills or job roles are you known for? And these are both really powerful, powerful ways to frame your personal brand. And this is the filter through which we're going to express our personal brand in the long run. So here are some examples. Here are some examples of a soft keyword and a hard keyword. So soft keyword, that might be warm, funny, intelligent, honest, focused, trustworthy, transparent, original, results oriented. And of course, I'm trying to keep all of my soft keywords, all of my adjectives very positive. Now, our hard keywords can be an entirely new mix of words. And the whole point, once again, is that we will pick 3 words, 3 keywords total. So that means usually I like to do 2 soft keywords and 1 hard keyword. So perhaps I want to be known as an intelligent and honest entrepreneur. Or maybe I want to be a trustworthy and original investor. It really depends on what are those soft keywords and what are those hard keywords. So I love to give homework. I've been a teacher in so many versions of my life. So I want to start with here is your first piece of homework that I'd like you to do. I'd like you to go away from this session and I'd like you to think, what are my three brand keywords? Now, these three brand keywords are going to be so powerful for you at the end of the day because this is what you are going to filter once again all of your branding through. So, our soft keywords are going to be what adjectives would you like to be known for? And our hard keywords are what skills or job roles are you absolutely known for? And once again, here is a fun list of some of those ideas, some of those soft and hard keywords. And of course, these will change for you. This is just a starting point, just a place where we can begin to think about what are our keywords of interest. Okay, so 5 reasons why personal branding matters for introverts. I hear over and over again from introverts, and I myself am one, of course. Why do I need a personal brand? I don't want to be perceived. I don't even want to be noticed. And that is of course, 100% valid, but I want to say that if you exist on social media, and almost everyone has a social media account, you likely already have a digital personal brand. So it's helpful to be able to control and curate that story. So let's get into 5 reasons why personal brands are helpful for introverts. One, it helps you show up without showing off. You're going to be able to be strategically visible without exhausting yourself. Let's just do a virtual raise of hands. Who is exhausted these days or overwhelmed these days? I think so many people I talk to just constantly feel that intense overwhelm, that intense exhaustion. And I know that so many people also just don't feel like they have the internal resources to be constantly posting 24/7 on social media. So, for those of you that don't know, I actually grew my personal brand. One of the key points that changed my personal brand was I did over 800 daily consecutive videos on what some people like to say is the most uncool platform of all time, LinkedIn. So I did 800 daily consecutive videos on that platform, and that is how I built my brand. However, I would say that building the right personal brand does not require you to do that, and it should not be exhausting. You want your story and your brand to speak for you. So if you don't want to be in the weeds of networking, you don't have to be. And I will say this as a fun aside, the title of my book tour is called the No Small Talk Book Tour because so many introverts do not like small talk. And I'll be honest, I'm included in that bucket sometimes. Okay, number 2, you want to be able to show your strengths without performing. So you can focus on being incredibly intentional and thoughtful with your personal story. So many people tell me that they wear a mask, that they have a persona that they do whenever they're outside. The beauty of having your actual personal story invested with your personal and weaved into your personal brand is that you can share all of the superpowers that you have as an introvert with your personal brand. For example, introverts are amazing at deep thinking, at storytelling, at being incredibly real. You want to own your quiet strengths. I will give an example of something that happened less than 24 hours ago. So, I had a book event. I've been doing a ton of book events, but my last book event, I think it's my third book event, no one showed up. So, it was completely empty. It was just me in person at this event. And, a variety of reasons people RSVP'd, but people didn't show. However, I shared an incredibly vulnerable and real post about it on Threads. And Threads is a very interesting platform for writers because you can share text. And I shared this on Threads and it went viral. So as of when we're talking right now, I think it has over 10,000 views in less than 24 hours. It's been constantly reshared. There's hundreds, maybe even thousands of comments on it at this point in time. And people resonate with that because it's a personal story. So while it's not necessarily a personal story of having the most successful event, it's a personal story that people resonate with. Okay, number three, thought leadership, but make it chill, make it easy. I want you to start thinking about, what does expert energy mean? What does it mean to share what you know? So many people do not feel comfortable saying that they're an extrovert. They say, well, I'm not an extrovert. An extrovert is somebody who has 5 TED Talks and they're this and they're that. But when I talk to people, I often find they'll tell me, well, I've worked for over a decade in my industry, or I've done over 20 projects in this specific hyper niche field. And that to me is the same expert energy that you're bringing to the table. It's helpful to think about it this way. You'll want to share niche focus insights. You're going to discuss your industry hot topics without alienating people, and also do well-researched perspectives. So if you can share, say, a news article on LinkedIn and then give your commentary on it, that's a great way to start your, and I hesitate to say this, thought leadership, because I think thought leadership is a term that's so often overused and without people thinking deeply about, what does thought leadership mean these days. So my other version of that is expert energy. What is the energy that you're bringing to all of your social media platforms and your in-person interactions? And the reason being, you want to be an authority that other people reach out to. One of the most powerful things of my journey of doing over 800 videos of LinkedIn was about 100 videos in, and that's about 3 months in. People started to reach out to me directly and say, I see that you're an expert in branding and marketing. Would you like to collaborate or work on this? Or could you help us with strategy work on this? Or Forbes reached out to me and said, would you like a column to be able to talk about personal branding and storytelling? So all of these opportunities happen when you niche down. Niching down is so powerful. Okay, networking without the small talk. Once again, small talk, not the absolute favorite of a lot of people in the room. So I'm going to give you a couple of other ideas. One, try posting in a Discord, Reddit, and this might be Slack, this might be Teams, this might be any other kind of direct chat group. Also, WhatsApp is another incredibly popular place to have a discussion. Try posting in groups that are in your niche. Also, try connecting in specialized groups that already exist on platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. I find that some of the most interesting conversation these days are in niche down groups. And there's other platforms that do this well too. I'm in a couple of different groups on, for example, Circle. Circle to me is a fascinating platform. It is a wonderful place where not only you can jump into existing conversations, but you can start your own communities. And for that reason alone, I think it is a really powerful tool that is brand new, that I think is gaining traction because not everyone wants to talk on existing social media platforms. So I want you to start thinking, what are groups that I could join? And also, these groups don't necessarily have to be tied to your work. I'll give a fun example. My partner loves cats, and he started a very popular cat Facebook group on LinkedIn. I think it has over 50,000 people now in it, and it has, I think, 3 separate groups that have spawned from the main group. And people have gotten jobs from this group. People have gotten cats from this group. People have gotten into romantic relationships and made friends from this group. So part of this is simply joining. The more you can be in community with others, the more you open doors for yourself. and the more you can just start having these great conversations with other people. Number five, play the long game. I absolutely think that as somebody who doesn't chase virality, I think it is so helpful to have a long-term reputation instead of short-term buzz. I I recently did another live stream for LinkedIn, and it had over 12,000 RSVPs, which is a lot of people. And some of the feedback that they got was, I have been watching Goldie's videos since 2017 on LinkedIn, and thank you so much for platforming her and giving her space and time on this particular show. So that's that long-term reputation. I've been creating since 2017, and people have been seeing my work and seeing what I've done since then. I've had people who have read several of my hundreds of Forbes articles that I used to write. And even though I left last year, people will still refer to that just database of knowledge that I created on marketing and branding. I think it's helpful to focus on a great C word, which is credibility of your voice. The more credible you can be and the more consistent you can be with that credibility, the better. Okay, so here's 8 quick and real personal branding tips for introverts. I know that we love tactical everything, and I myself am a very tactical person. I love to be as tactical as humanly possible. So we're going to go through 8 tactical tips that you can start doing. So, number one, just like we should be really thoughtful about our finances and we should put our money in the bank, let's also create a content bank. I call it my evergreen content vault. We're going to create a folder with pre-written posts, graphics, and ideas. And this is to help with the exhaustion. I talk to people who say, Goldie, I don't want to be creating every single day. So I say, you don't need to be creating every single day. Do you have 1 or 2 hours a week? If you have 1 or 2 hours a week that you can be creating, you can start posting weekly and you can start creating a backlog of posts. And I know that this may seem like a really slow cadence of posting. Cadence is another one of my favorite words. But I want you to think about starting to post once a month. And you'll say, Goldie, that's too infrequent. I should be posting once every other day. I should be posting this and this and this. But I'm sure we've all done this before in the past. I've been guilty of this, of say posting 20 posts in 3 days, and then I don't post for months, or I don't want to post for months. So instead of doing that, what we want to do is we want to create as much evergreen content as we can in one go. We put it inside our content vault, or we use an amazing scheduler, right? We schedule out that content. But either way, I still like, even if I use a content scheduler, I still like to have a vault that's just evergreen posts, evergreen thoughts and ideas that are relevant to my industry or my specific niche that I work in, right? So either my industry vertical or my job function. So for me, that might be writing or author how-tos. And that might also be then just personal branding insights or insights about introverts trying to do more work or build their brands or careers. I want to create as much evergreen content as I can and put it in my vault. This allows me then to, for the most of the time, not be creating content, which I know for so many people out there, you don't want to become a content creator, and that's incredibly valid. Okay, so let's use soft call to actions in our content. I think, especially on LinkedIn, there's an energy of hard sells. Everything is a hard sale. Every single post should lead to a CTA that is an immediate purchase. I think it's helpful to do a soft call to action, which helps you be in conversation. One of my favorite other phrases is to be in conversation with my audience. Because the more you can be in conversation, the more you can go back and forth with your audience. the more you'll be able to actually ask them for those hard asks. And people will usually ask me, okay, well, what's the split between a sales post, the number of sales posts, and then the number of non-sales posts? I don't know if there is a perfect split, but one number that I've seen work pretty well is at least one out of every five or one out of every four. That's going to be your sales post. And the rest of that post should be really helpful for your audience. It should be using these softer calls to action. It should be trying to engage your audience. Okay, so this is a little bit of what I talked about already, but we're going to start a content cadence instead of posting daily. We're going to batch create like I talked about before. So we're going to batch create. We're going to also create extra and put in our bank. And we're going to post on a very predictable schedule, like every Tuesday and Thursday. And the reason why we post in a predictable way is so our audience then knows that they can expect us to be posting on those days. And they can come back and they can find us on those particular days of and be able to engage with us. So we want to be predictable. I know that this is probably a funny thing to hear in a world full of people saying, you got to be unpredictable. You got to zig when other people are zagging. But with content, it sometimes is really helpful to be regularly and consistently putting out content. Because once again, the content dump is not the best way to build a long-term audience. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about a long-term audience. We're talking about a lasting personal brand. Once again, I still get people who talk about the videos that I posted from 2017 to 2019, and we're already in 2025, years later. Okay, we're going to create a go-to introvert brand statement. So this is essentially thinking about our three keywords and making it our simplified brand statement. Have you ever met someone at a conference or at a party and they start explaining who they are and it becomes very complicated very quickly? So maybe they start with, I'm a hotel owner, but I also like to jet ski, but I also train horses, and I also raise cacti, and I also do this. I call it a caterpillar. You don't remember, you maybe remember the face of the caterpillar, but you don't remember all of those lovely fuzzy segments after it. It's helpful to have a simplified brand statement. This is the tiny version of the elevator pitch that you can bring to people and say, I'm a YouTube video editor, or I'm a fashion entrepreneur. It's helpful to have that incredibly small statement because people will remember that. I think we all suffer from not being able to remember who we meet because we meet so many people daily. You want to make it as easy as possible to be as memorable as possible. Okay, so we're also going to use templates to streamline our content creation using programs like Adobe Express or Canva to templatize what we do, because I think, of course, it becomes so difficult sometimes to think, I need to post on Instagram or I need to create content for LinkedIn and I want to do a visual version of this. Have templates help you. So if you, for example, I post a lot about when I get featured on podcasts or when I get featured in press. I like to do a visual representation of that, and I usually use templates. I just simply apply my brand to those templates. So my brand colors, unsurprisingly, are green. Green is my favorite color. I have a brand template that incorporates the color green. And I like to make sure that my templates are on brand. So if you're using templates in any of these social programs, make sure that you also have the right colors. And then just like we have our content bank, we're going to start developing a reply bank. So just like we have a content bank where money goes in or our content goes in, We have a reply bank, which is where our money or our replies go out of. We're going to start pre-drafting responses for common questions or collaboration requests. So if someone commonly asks you, could you tell me more about what your agency does? You want to have a starting point that's templatized. And I know that this is going to feel very uncomfortable for all of you when I say this, but I want you to try to write it first without using AI. And the reason why I say that is even if you later plug it into AI, it's going to be helpful for you to have a starting point of at least the bullet points of what you'd like it to say. I believe that one of the unfortunate parts of always using AI to write everything is it leads to the samification of a lot of content. And it also leads to your pitches looking very, very similar to a lot of other people's pitches. So we always want to start with human first. So even with our reply bank, we always want to start with our own human written versions of a reply bank. Do collaborative content. If you haven't already thought about this, consider featuring others, like other experts, other thought leaders, in posts, doing guest pieces in blogs or Substacks, or sharing insights on podcasts. I just wrapped my 50th guest podcast in 3 months. And I can tell you now, having done that, that there are thousands, literally thousands of podcasts that exist. And so many podcasts out there are very open. If you reach out and you say, I see that you talk about entrepreneurship, I'd love to come on and talk about my entrepreneurial journey where I went from running this lemonade stand for $100 and now we are a multi-million dollar organization that also does other lemon related products. So I think if you also, once again, you have that short pitch down, you will be able to also do a lot more collaborative content. You'll be able to partner with so many more people. And this is for my introverts out there. And this is even for my extroverts or ambiverts out there. Try to schedule low social days to avoid overwhelm. Plan content or engagement on days when your energy is high. And then take breaks from visibility when you need to recharge. Rest is strategic. So on days like this where quite literally today, I had meetings in the morning. I'm doing this right now. I'm going to be speaking in person and then I'm going to be on a flight. This is not for me a day that I will be doing a lot of social media. However, on the rest of the days of this week, when I had a less busy schedule, those days are the days that I'm going to not only do more work, but one of those days I'm going to do a low social day. I'm going to have a low energy, low social day. And that's to be able to recharge. We so often talk about just go, go, go and constantly being busy. And it's helpful to have your low social days to avoid that intense overwhelm that so many of us feel constantly, constantly. Okay, so let's talk AI. I will say this, one of my favorite AI products that I use is Adobe Acrobat Studio, and I specifically like Adobe PDF Spaces. This is one of the few kinds of AI that I use because it queries within an enclosed environment and it doesn't pull information from outside. So I'll use it from anywhere from creating a personalized AI assistant in PDF Spaces to also then just asking that. For example, I might have a marketer do a warm and witty companion to be in conversation with. I'll ask it, great, can you tell me what the marketing version of these three documents will be? Or I'll say, hello, partner. Can you critically tell me what these three contracts are and what was the difference between these three? I don't know if anyone's experienced this before, but when you've had multiple contracts with, say, the same client over the course of several years, and you want to just check those contracts. You just want to make sure that the changes year to year are the ones that you know. Even if you have a great lawyer, it's so helpful to always know what your contracts are saying. That's just me. I just love reading contracts. So this is once again another thought on AI, which is automate what you can, but keep your presence and your content very thoughtful. Your responses should always feel personal, which is more relatable and will help you build a brand that lasts. So, fun story. I was speaking to a very successful entrepreneur, and he wanted to use AI to automate everything. And this is a cautionary tale. And he used AI to automate 100% of his customer service. And he noticed that his revenue dropped extremely low over the course of a couple of weeks. And he thought that was odd because the customer response, the customer satisfaction ratings were extremely high. So why was everyone so happy, but his revenue was so low? Well, it turned out he had automated all of his customer service and to an AI agent. And this AI agent would say at the top, I'm an AI agent. My name is AI agent name, and I'm very excited to help you today. But what it also did was it was programmed to give a discount if it was asked to. However, what it was doing was it was giving a 95% discount instead of a 5% discount because it kept discounting instead of asking more questions. It kept saying, would you like more of a discount? Would you like more of a discount? And then this nightmare would continue until it was essentially a free product. It was so low in cost that they were making almost no money from it. And they didn't discover this until weeks into the process of automating completely their AI. And now, even this person that wants to fully AI-ify his workflow with his company, he now has a human that will listen in on these conversations at least once a week, at least once or twice a week. And I know that this is, as an entrepreneur myself, this is the nightmare. I would find that to be, of course, a nightmare if all of my services and products were reduced to zero. So that's just a thought. Always have human oversight over AI, which is a tool and a tactic and not a person. So that's just my personal thoughts on AI. Everyone, of course, is welcome to their own opinions. So now you are on your way to being an introvert with an amazing personal brand. And because I know everyone loves a few fast and easy LinkedIn tips, I'm going to give you some today that are a little bit more behind the scenes. So, one, like, comment, and share relevant news articles. You can find these news articles in the upper right-hand corner of your desktop version of your app. I think you can probably also find them in your mobile device. I honestly don't know where because I usually do this from desktop, but all of those trending topics I will share a little magic with you. If you comment on them meaningfully, and you'll see what meaningful is if you click on some of those trending comments, you are trending topics, you'll see that people write literal paragraphs. They write thought pieces around those trending news articles. You can be picked to be featured. And when you're picked to be featured, that will go into your feed to your entire audience, which is so wonderful and so powerful. So I want to share that that's one really fast and easy way that you can definitely start engaging on LinkedIn in a way that LinkedIn will notice. And I also want to say commenting on anyone that you find interesting will only ever help you in the LinkedIn feed and the algorithm. Number two, try sharing your own leadership related career story as a long form post. So here is when I plug what you are watching right now. If any of the thoughts or ideas that we've gone over today have sparked ideas in you, or you have a great quote, I'd love, love, love for you to tag me and then, of course, tag the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center in that post. because I think it's so helpful to always say, I learned these three lessons today, and here are the three lessons. And you'll find that your audience loves these kind of posts because everyone is on LinkedIn to learn more. So that is your second piece of homework. It is to try to find at least 1 to 3 pieces of knowledge that you garnered, or a funny story if you like that AI story. Please share that on LinkedIn, tag myself, tag the amazing folks at the Nasdaq Entrepreneur Center, also tag Nasdaq Entrepreneur Center itself as well. Okay, number 3, describe how you handled a project or team as a video. So some of you might be thinking, I really want to start doing videos. How do I do videos in a way that's not necessarily the way videos are done on TikTok? Doing an educational video is so powerful. So try doing videos this way. And once again, if you do any of these, feel free to at any point in time tag me. I love seeing people do well or try new things on LinkedIn. A popular term right now, I think with the younger generation, is flop, which is their version of fail. And I think it is okay to have flops on LinkedIn. Okay, this is an incredibly nerdy picture of me at at the sorry, not the Pokemon Center, but at the Nintendo store in New York, right after I did a massive thing at in New York, and I'm holding my book. But feel free to scan any of these QR codes. One connects with me on LinkedIn, another one is for my personal website, and then the top one is for my wonderful and amazing best-selling book, Personal Branding for Introverts. So please get a copy if you thought that this was useful. And if you're not an introvert watching this, please buy a copy for your delightful introvert colleagues or friends. And I'm going to stop sharing right now. And I'm going to jump in with Colin again.
Awesome, Goldie. What great stuff. And I don't know, I think I'm an introverted extrovert, but a lot of that is really helpful for me. So thank you. That's really great stuff.
I'm so glad, Colin. And I know that I think there is a spectrum, right, from introversion to extroversion. And in the middle is what we call ambivert. And there's a new term out there called outrovert, which I believe is a version of ambivert as well. So there's so many different versions of what you are, and people change all the time.
Yeah,
But I think hopefully this helps some people think about how to overcome the overwhelm as an introvert or not, as a leader.
amazing. Well, our entrepreneurs, I'm sure, as they're thanking you in the chat, appreciate all of what you've shared. And if you have any questions for Goldie, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Goldie, we've got some questions here.
Let's
This
do
is
it.
so interesting to me. This is funny based on what we were just talking about. So interesting to me as an extrovert. How can we amplify our more introverted colleagues? I wonder if there's ways we can help them without being intrusive. Oh, did I freeze? Oh, no. I thought I froze. Oh man. All right. Well, Zoom happens. Thanks for letting me know in the chat team. Hopefully, Zoom will figure it out in a moment. We still have some time for Q&A though, so don't drop. Should be back in a second. Oh, yep. Zoom moments do happen, but she should be able to join us in just a moment. Um, but keep those questions coming in. I'll try to get to them all. Hopefully. Her computer battery didn't die. Maybe it wasn't a Zoom moment. We'll see. And thanks for hanging tight with us. We will. Technical difficulties do happen in moments like this. Let's see. Good. Seems we have lost Goldie for the moment, but let's give her a couple minutes. See if she can log back in. Sure, it's just a Wi-Fi moment. Jennifer, yes, I am glad she was at least able to finish too. Um, and yeah, we'll ask Goldie if she's able to share her chat. There she is.
I'm so sorry. I'm currently in a hotel room and my Wi-Fi just booted me, so I apologize for that. This is live. That's how you know
That's what
it's
happens.
very live.
No,
Okay, so I
no.
got interrupted. So what she does as an extrovert running a team of introverts, I think is so powerful, is when she has team meetings. Now, let's be real. If you're an introvert listening in on this, you probably understand this feeling. She Not every introvert wants to talk during a meeting. So she gives 15 minutes either before or after every meeting. And that 10 to 15 minutes is so that they can go to her directly one on one and just say, Hi, I'd really love it if we could bring up this design issue or this product issue. And then if they don't bring it up in the meeting, she's already aware of it as the extrovert. So she can then bring up the issue. And this is also another way so she doesn't have to say, and she doesn't always say, like, oh, well, Laurel brought that up, right? She will just say, okay, well, I've noticed that this happened. So that's another way that an extrovert can support an introvert. There's also another great example I give in the book, which is another one of my friends, very successful entrepreneur, runs, has I think hundreds of employees in person, and they do a no meeting Tuesday. So they have no meetings whatsoever on Tuesdays, and they do this so people feel less overwhelmed by having a day that has literally zero meetings.
Love that.
Yep.
We tried to on our team implement no meeting Wednesdays, but that didn't last long, and I think
Oh no.
I was the first culprit.
Yeah, I think that it just works if the leaders are very firm about we just
Yeah.
absolutely will not allow this. And you have to be so firm about it. And I'll say this, at the end of the day, the best way for extroverts to support introverts is by talking with introverts and saying, what do you need help with? And then doing introductions or speaking up for them. But you have to talk to introverts first to know what they want help with. It's just like, of course, it's always helpful to know how people want to be helped before you help them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, Great stuff. Okay, what platform do you use for making videos?
Okay, so I'll share this. It's a compact platform. It's held in my hand. I don't know if this is helpful at all. I make most of my videos using my phone and using just regular phone recording app, and then I'll edit using different apps. So I'll use things like InShot. I've used things like captions. There's so many great. I'll even use like mobile Premiere because I'm living deeply in the Adobe ecosystem. So there's so many different apps that you can use to edit videos. And a lot of people also use now, Instagram has their own called Edits, right? TikTok has their own version. There's a ton of different editing things out there. But I noticed that the fastest way for me to do it is not using fancy cameras. It's using my mobile device so I can just get going faster.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And that's back to your cadence thing where you can just crush it out all on your phone. You don't have to set
Yes.
up lighting, camera, all that.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty. There's another question here on how do you build a powerful brand online without feeling you have to expose your entire personal life? I think it's a great question.
So I have a new boundary with clients, or I suppose it's not super new, but I had to put in place a few years ago because I was working with these delightful seal of executives who have really amazing lives. And some of their amazing lives is owning horses. And one executive in particular that I'm not going to name literally messaged me at 4 a.m. one day with a text picture of a blurry horse hoof and just said, "Should I post this on Instagram?" And so my new personal boundary with clients is please don't, and such like, please don't, especially text to me after midnight, between midnight and 8 a.m. my time. But also, that's a great example of you don't need to share every single aspect of your personal life. I- With that particular client too, I remember we were talking and really with their team, talking, do they want to share her family? And do we want to share her children? Do we want to share her outside life? And we had to come to a consensus about how much of it do we share. And just like I had to implement a boundary with this client, we also internally talked about what are boundaries they had around their content. I have I have so many entrepreneurial colleagues and leadership colleagues who never share their family at all. And that's the boundary that they have is they just never share their children. So, and that's a very fair boundary. I think it's helpful to always think, what are the boundaries that you have around what you're presenting, around your content, etc.
Yeah, I love that. Um, yeah, there's another question here. Uh, and I think it's along the same vein, but a little bit different. So, I'm an introverted CEO leading a human-centered tech company. I want to communicate our mission and values through storytelling. What's one way of doing that effectively without feeling like I have to be constantly visible?
So, first of all, have a team. So if you're a leader, I think getting help is not a bad thing. And I think having help is always helpful. So that's one. Definitely have someone who is helping you post or having somebody on your team who is helping curate that content for you. I also think constant visibility is a funny thing because we think about constant visibility as every single day I pull out my phone, I make a video, or I pull out my phone, I make a post. We can have a lot of consistent visibility without constantly producing. So I want you to understand the differences, hopefully, between those two different ideas. We can, once again, we can batch create so that we are consistently visible, but we are not constantly creating. And I think that's where the exhaustion comes from, is when people think every single day I'm going to post a picture of me, my delightful coffee here. I'm going to post a picture of me and I'm going to post a picture of that. But I think it's helpful to use scheduling tools when you can, to use assistance and help when you can, especially if you're very busy. I'm sure we've all heard this before, but how much is an hour of your day worth? How much do you cost to consult, right? Or how much do you cost as a leader? How much is your day worth? And if your day and you are hourly worth, I don't know, $300 an hour, $700 an hour. I'm just making up numbers now. $1,000 an hour. You can afford to pay someone that $50 an hour, $100 an hour, etc. You can afford to pay someone to help you with that social media because it saves you time, and your time is so, so valuable.
Mm. Another question here. Can you build a strong digital brand if you're not the loud, bubbly type? And I'm trying to think of examples. I think there's a ton of examples of people who aren't the loud, bubbly types who still have strong brands, but I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so now that I'm in the author universe, I think that there's so many examples of this where there's so many authors who have incredibly strong personal brands. Like I think about Adam Grant is one, and he is not bubbly or particularly loud at all, but he's deeply insightful. He's clearly an expert in his field, and he's constantly sharing his wisdom. So I don't think that you need to be loud. You don't need to be bubbly. You don't even need to be happy, which I know is, I hope joy and happiness for everyone who's listening in on this or rewatching this, but you don't need to be loud and bubbly in order to share your expert wisdom. And I think a lot of that comes across when you think about it once again from the angle of what am I an expert in?
Mhm.
How can I share what I'm an expert in? And it doesn't need to be fun. It doesn't need to be skits. It doesn't need to be anything that you see online that's at the latest trend. It can simply be, here are some learning lessons from my life. Here's a story from my life. I think some of the most popular, and once again, I'm in the book world, so I apologize, but I think some of the most popular books right now that are memoirs are always the story that you
Mm.
tell. So telling a serious, heartfelt story can often go so much farther than here's me being goofy. And especially if you want to be taken seriously, that's a very fine line to balance.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
be yourself, right? If you're adding value, you don't, just be yourself.
Yes.
And as speaking of adding value, you've added so much value to our audience today. Thank you so much, Goldie. What's one key takeaway if somebody was going to dial into the last 30 seconds or the 90 seconds of this call that you want everyone to go away with today?
Always have your brand anchor ready. What is that one sentence that you can use to describe your brand to someone tomorrow? And start using it today.
Oh, well, what a lovely takeaway. Thank you so much, Goldie, for the time, for sharing your expertise. And for those of you who are on still, thank you so much for joining. We hope this was valuable. We have a bunch of webinars coming up over the next couple weeks and even some this week. So check those out in our follow-up email. But Goldie, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see all of the introverts out there create some better personal brands thanks to you. And check out her book. It's good stuff.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Alrighty. Well, we look forward to welcoming you all back online soon. Have a good one, everyone.